Thanks, Graham. Look, just a couple of quick disclaimers before I start. First one is, yes, I'm fully aware of the irony of someone who looks like me talking about a student development program. The second one is, I didn't come up with the title for my talk. The first bit's indisputably true. The second bit, I suspect, is open to debate. However, the good news in terms of the program is what isn't open to debate is an extremely distinguished alumni of graduates of the student development program within the CRC, many of whom are genuine industry leaders, many of whom will become industry leaders, and all of whom I'd suggest have made a really valuable contribution to the well-being of the industry. So this is a science-free zone, so you can all relax and brace yourself for Kevin's talk. I've basically been asked to sort of tell a story about a student's journey into the CRC, through the CRC, and then to life beyond the student CRC program. Unfortunately for you and embarrassingly for me, the only story I can talk to with any authority is mine, but please take it as read that my story is really just a proxy for all 82 of the students who went through the program. I think, you know, we had different entry points and different exits, but at the end of the day, our experience, I'd suggest, was extremely similar, and the value that we derived from it. I'd probably make the point there, that's an old aerial photo of part of the UNE in the Western campus. I started out when I first went to Armidale in that building there. You could argue that the CRC's done nothing for me geographically because I'm now in that complex there, which looks quite different. There's a mutual fence. They've brought me one step through a gate. But anyway, I think the intervening 15 years is probably a bit more to the story. That's not me. But I guess my background, which is kind of relevant, I am related to her. She looks quite different now. I'm a veterinarian. I worked for 7 years in Australia and overseas. Returned, managed the family property for about a decade after that in Western Darling Downs. And then we relocated with a young family down to Armidale, where I started work with a contract research organisation. Now that inspired me to rekindle memories, distant memories of enjoying veterinary parasitology at university. So I started thinking about a PhD. But the point is, I would never have done it, could never have done it with a young family without the support of the Sheep CRC. Wouldn't have happened. My career would have taken a very different path, and I certainly wouldn't be standing here today. So I guess the thing that's interesting for me is I'm not your typical model for a postgraduate student. I wouldn't have thought. I think I was 40 at the time, so I clearly wasn't a young undergraduate with a glittering academic career, which brings me to what I see as one of the two really key features of this program for me, and that's that from where I was standing anyway, the Sheep CRC really valued potential and diversity. And when I look at I was the first CRC that I was involved with, and when I looked around at the students that I was involved with, the breadth and diversity of not only the students, but the disciplines that they worked in was truly extraordinary. It's something that we all benefited from interaction with each other, and I guess that cross-pollination, I should probably say, of ideas. But also I think it's something that probably stands the industry in really good stead from having that diversity. So as I said, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that funding, but I guess the other really key element for me of this program, the particular genius I'd call it, is it wasn't just about funding and getting the work done, but it was actually about supporting the students then, getting them job ready, if you like, or ready to make an impact in the industry as soon as they graduated from their research or whatever it was that they were doing. And this is where, and it breaks my heart, I have to give Graham an enormous rap. It was an inspired choice, putting him in charge of the program. He worked tirelessly for us. He was very passionate about it. He was endlessly positive and upbeat. Probably talked about riding bicycles a little bit too much, but nobody's perfect. In terms of the actual support, so what they did for us, and Graham will talk about it in more detail, I'm sure, tomorrow, we had an annual conference where we all got together and we were sort of mentored and coached by distinguished researchers and academics, which was a fantastic opportunity for us. So we got, I guess, coaching and feedback in terms of, you know, scientific study design, scientific writing, statistics, whatever it might be, presentation skills. which you might argue was a complete waste of time in my case, but I was a lot worse prior to joining the CRC. And I guess the other part of it was we got given sort of certain opportunities from time to time. So I, for example, was lucky enough to be invited to one of the annual CRC reviews, which the board was involved, so I actually got to see firsthand what good governance looked like, which was really worthwhile for me in my subsequent career. I think all the obvious things happened. So in terms of having postgraduate students, the universities that hosted those students, benefits in terms of facilities. So I was I guess a bucket parasitologist. Most of my work was in the field. On the left there, we built some dedicated facilities that involve fencing, watering points, etc., that remain to this day with replicated plots, etc. I talk about skills. Collecting pills from the arse of a sheep's not really a skill, but I don't want you to think it was all fun. But there were certainly some skills that were acquired throughout the course of student studies that then became a legacy for those universities. I'm probably skipping over the knowledge that was acquired. I think Graham will talk to that as part of the work that fitted in with the sheep CRC programs. The other bit and I'll probably circle back to this a bit later, that I thought was absolutely critical was establishing networks. So with established researchers, academics, whatever it might be, establishing those networks for the students so that when they went out and got on with their careers, they had people that they could go to. And I know in my subsequent role with an animal health pharmaceutical company, I was very involved with a lot of the people that I've been involved with the CRC. It certainly made it a lot easier, and some of them, of course, are lifelong friends. So post-CRC, I was lucky enough to be, headhunted by an animal health company. And yes, indeed, we launched the first new drench for sheep in 30 years. There's a shiny little bald head somewhere there in the background in New Zealand. But of course, it goes way beyond that. So as a leading sheep country in the world, we got to have a lot of input into R&D programs. I was part of the technical services team and then graduated through to running the large animal business in Australia. We're very involved in education, so farmers as well as rural resellers, got to attend a lot of conferences and present science and so forth. And I was fortunate enough to be involved with both worm boss and paraboss as well. Where that's led me to now is back to the UNE. So it's a newly created role. I'm director of what's known as the Centre for Animal Research and Teaching. So similar sort of thing, different location. We've got lovely facilities there at the UNE, which you can see. But I guess what I'd really like to emphasise is that the program of students certainly created a lot of knowledge, and it extended the knowledge, because in this forum, if you don't extend it, if the knowledge isn't shared, it's kind of pointless. But absolutely, from my commercial background, I guess my corporate background, it was really textbook succession planning that was shown through this program. And I'd suggest, I hope Graham can detail this a little bit more, I'd suggest it was a superb investment on the CRC's part that will continue to pay out over a generation, probably the next generation of researchers. So look, just to conclude, I'm fortunate I get to do the things I love still, so hopefully facilitating high quality research, supporting high quality teaching, and with any luck, hopefully helping to inspire the next generation of researchers to come. So I guess on behalf of all PhD or postgraduate students who went through the program, I'd just like to extend our thanks to the Sheep CRC for the opportunity. You really should be very proud of your achievement. Thank you.